Hello. So we are live. I'm here with Libby. She runs a lot of groups in Volusia County, and we wanted to get on here and talk about the wildlife corridor. So there's a conference coming up. When is it?
August 13th from 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach.
And so I have that in here. So let me put that up so everybody knows. It's in Daytona Beach. It's from 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. So what should we expect at this
Oh my
conference?
gosh, it's going to be so amazing. So we have Carlton Ward, National Geographic Award-winning photographer and lead trekker in the Wildlife Corridor, with Jason Lauritson. They're going to be covering, I think, a couple different segments. So we have that. Now, listen, going back to the summer, we attended that Florida Wildlife Corridor Summit because last year the Florida Wildlife Corridor Act was signed into law July 1, 2019, a unanimous bipartisan act, which is unusual in and of itself. So we got things rolling after that. Now we've got this summit, this workshop coming out of the summit. We're really excited that they're coming to Volusia County, and we're the first county for a rollout. I'm hoping Brevard is next. Kind of ties into some of the properties we'll talk about in the northern end of Brevard County and the Farmington area specifically. So they do tie in. So I'm hoping that Brevard will be second. But this conference is amazing. It's free. 8:30 to 9 is check-in and a coffee kind of meet and greet. And then from 9 until about 12:30, we will have a panel of experts that will speak on everything from what the act is to mapping within the corridor, to having fun in the corridor. That's really important too, you know. So there will be a whole campaign there. It's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be a really great event. They had space for 250 reserved, and now they've had to open an overflow room. You do have to register. It is free, but you must register because of the limited seating. So if you haven't done that yet, Stella, are you going to bring up the
Yeah,
image?
so below I have volusia.org/wildlife corridor. I think that's where you would go to register, right? There's a
Exactly.
registration. It takes you to Eventbrite.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So that's where you guys can go to register. Like she said, it's free. I know I'm registered to go. I'm very excited to learn more about this, especially with Brevard County having their northern end part of the county involved with this wildlife corridor. And I think, some people don't even know what the wildlife corridor is in the state of Florida. So maybe I can bring up the website,
Mhm.
Volusia Wildlife Corridor. I'll do that right now, add it to the stream. There's some downloadable maps on here. Um, do you want to talk more about that? I see that there's Volusia's Wildlife Corridor right here. We have a map that shows
Right.
up in green. What is that about?
Okay, so there's a few websites. This is actually specific to Volusia County, and we had a GIS tech create this site. And by we, I just mean the community said that we needed it, and he donated it. It was great. So he created these multi layers that these GIS experts can do. And while you see here the corridor going through Volusia County, I'm sorry it doesn't show Brevard on our map, but you could see where it leads into Brevard County and continues. There are other maps there, and if you click on them, they actually break that down parcel to parcel, so you can see where your parcel lies within the corridor, or perhaps a parcel that you think is important and needing saving. You can see where that lies and who the owner is, and then you can link them together to get state, federal, and local funds, nonprofit funds, or different organizations, and you'll learn about who those organizations are, meet a lot of those people at the Wildlife Corridor Workshop.
I see that, like, the map that I have up right now is called the Watershed Map, and I'm looking at all kinds of water, from lakes, creeks, the river, Mosquito Lagoon,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so I'm guessing that what happens to the wildlife corridor impacts all of these watersheds and all the water that's in this particular area.
Yeah, you make a really good point. Another thing we learned at the summit is 90% of our drinking water comes from within the corridor, which really is no major surprise, but a lot of people may not think of that right off because we're talking about wildlife and they don't necessarily understand how that correlates with clean water. But that is our those are our recharge areas, our wetlands. Those are some pretty wet areas. That's why it's got the complex biodiversity, right? And it's the perfect biodiversity for a healthy environment, for our wildlife, but for us too, because we have to consume that water, which we're running out of as development continues. And of course, a lot of this property is slated for development, so there's a bit of a race to get it into conservation before it's destroyed. Because if we do not have that connectivity, and actually this is a small sliver, it's a very important sliver, there's not much to save here compared to some of the other tracts that they've saved, but this little sliver connects South Florida to Georgia. So if this is broken up, the wildlife cannot migrate, and they must have freedom to migrate for genetic biodiversity. If you don't have that, you begin to have disease. The morbidity and mortality increases, so they end up dying off earlier, or they don't reproduce, so forth and so on. So yeah, it affects the wildlife, but it also affects our drinking water. With that, I'm gonna let you pull that up. I've got to turn my alarm off. It's really loud.
Yeah, I do hear an alarm. So I'm just going to Google to see if I can find a map of more than just Volusia County, so people can see how this is impacting them across.
So if you pull up there you go. Click on maps. Yeah.
Here we go.
So there are a lot of different maps. They got some awards for that watercolor map. That was really pretty. But it doesn't really show you kind of the meat of the corridor. This is a really great map. There are 17.7 million acres in Florida. 9.6 million are existing conserved lands, or 54% of the corridor. But 8.1 million acres of the corridor are considered as opportunity areas. So they actually want to expand the corridor, right? They realize how critical this passage and migration area is to the long-term health of the environment, water quality, and the wildlife. And so they, I lost my train of thought. So they want to expand that area so that there's a larger area, because it is so very important. Interestingly enough, the federal government passed the Wildlife Corridor Act of 2019. So that actually existed before this. I just found this recently, and it actually set the stage for what we're doing here. So this is a federal movement. It's all nonpartisan, bipartisan. It's unanimously agreed on in the legislature, the president, the governor, the Florida legislature. You never get that. You just never get that. I mean, this is something we cannot argue about. We just need to find the best way to get it into conservation.
Yeah, there's some really good maps on these websites I think everybody should be checking out. And just like really looking at how this is impacting you. I mean, you can see it right across the state of Florida. There's different designated areas. And we have developers, that want to develop our entire state. So we have to have these lands, these conserved lands for our wildlife. And I don't think people realize just how important this wildlife corridor really is. But these are some really good websites. The effects, it even goes over the effects of habitat loss, protected land breakdown by ownership, threatened and endangered species.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just a little backstory. So Carlton and Joe Guthrie and Mallory Dimmitt of the Likes family and Likes Ranches, they set out on their expeditions first. They're the first ones to chronicle the expeditions in the corridor. And the videos you're showing right now are some of the videos that they've done. National Geographic did a really good story on them. And they tracked the corridor, and it's just amazing the videos and images that they were able to capture. I think some area was like right next to Disney World. You could hear the roller coasters in the video.
Right.
And it's like nobody knows that this precious gem is just over the fence.
Let's play this video really quick. It says it's 2
Sure.
minutes.
Florida is like no other place on earth. It's the land, it's the water, it's the people, and the Florida Wildlife Corridor is the backbone that connects it all.
But we are seeing changes because of those 1,000 people a day that are moving to Florida.
We have to maintain that our environment in the state of Florida is our #1 priority. Without it, we do not have healthy water, we do not have healthy beaches, and people don't come here.
It took Mother Nature and God a long time to develop this land like it is. And we just need to slow down and figure out how we're going to save it.
So you guys can find these videos by just typing in Google the Florida Wildlife Corridor. There's a lot of videos that go over this and why it's so important to save the corridor. I mean, like you said, didn't you say that developers are trying to, kind of find their way in to develop on this land? One second, you muted.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll just go back to Farmington because, it's a good example of what's going on throughout the state. And it's probably the best example of an undeveloped, untouched ecosystem. There are 3 swamps within that area, which is the only area on the East Coast that has that unique biodiversity and ecosystems. And so basically what they're going to do is destroy those creeks. That's the short answer. They're going to destroy the Farmington area, and they're going to plow it down, clear cut it, drain it, build it high, and then build their little town within a town, if you will. And that has been on the books for many years. It's called the Farmington Local Plan. It does extend into Brevard County, and that just happens to be one of the most critical linkages in the corridor. One of the areas that lead into that restoration, which starts at the same northernmost area in Edgewater at 442, that's slated for development now. They annexed into Edgewater and they waived all the protections. They rescinded all of the protections because they want that in Edgewater. But the county's now looking at it differently. We have this legislation. We have to get our land development codes in line with this. There's no teeth. It's not a self-enacting instrument. So that's for us to develop now. It's a whole new world. And that's the best part. We've never had this opportunity before. I mean, we were talking about this at the end of last year when it happened. And I just my head exploded because I was like, this is it. This is the opportunity. But, we're talking about water and manatees and development. And it's like, people are going, why are you focusing on the wildlife now? I'm like, that's it. That's how we get it.
Yeah. I mean, after the year we've had with the manatees, and you were there with us right on the ground grassroots movement, where we were just watching one manatee come in after another. It's been devastating to witness that coming out of the Indian River Lagoon, knowing that this is in our own backyard. And I don't think I ever thought I'd see the day where FWC would be cranking these beautiful, just this lifeless into their trailers and taking them to landfills, and just what we've had to experience. You're right. It comes down to the wildlife. I mean, they're being impacted just as much as human health is being impacted by these environmental issues. And a lot of people don't make those connections. and they think, well, the manatee issue is just the manatee issue, or just, but we've lost so much life in the Indian River Lagoon, not just manatees. This is just towards the end of what we've already experienced and watched with the decline of the Indian River Lagoon. And it's all connected. I mean, human health, if you're seeing them with particular chemicals in their blood, what do you think's happening to us? And that's why this work is so important. All of the advocates across the state of Florida that have continued to fight these battles. And I mean, this is just another piece of that. We've got to fight for this land and to continue conserving what we have of Florida. Like that video said, people come here to visit for nature. And if we completely ruin that, what do we have to share with the rest of the world here in Florida? Not just Disneyland. I mean, they come here for the springs. They come here to see our manatees. They come here to fish. And they come here for the clean water. When people think of Florida from out of state, ask them. They think of clear, beautiful blue water. They think of fish. They think of life. They think of the wildlife we have. I mean, my daughter, she does classes overseas, and they were having this long conversation, all her classmates were, about Florida. They were just mind blown about the alligators, right? They're like, I think you're crazy because you live where all the alligators are. Like, how do you live with the alligators? And she just giggled, because to her, she's like, what? I kayak right next to them. No problem, So,
Yeah.
It's just,
well, it's an acquired taste. I saw some gators this weekend.
Yeah.
I was up on the Wakula River, and oh my God, Stell, seagrass. Seagrass. We were just coming up on the springs from the south end, and there's a little thing there blocking it off. So we didn't get to see the manatees. The sheriff came by and said they were further north, said this coming weekend we're going to go. But yeah, it's just, when I saw that whole beautiful untouched area, it was bittersweet. I was so joyful to be in that moment, and it took me back to better days. And then I became very sad. I became very sad because I thought, look what was. Will it ever be again? We pray, we hope our work will be a part of the process that gets us there. But we just have no way of knowing, right? We just have to do our best. We're not responsible for the overall outcome, but we have to do our best, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, our communities, I always say this, but I'm like, I believe by the right education and sharing the right knowledge with our communities so that they understand these issues, that more of them would be on board and supportive and want exactly what we're fighting for, which is our home, our paradise. We don't want to see paradise completely gone. And so, if you guys are near Volusia on the weekend of August 13th, there's a conference, and it's about the wildlife corridor. I'm very excited to learn more there, to meet a network of people who care just as much as we do about our Florida nature, our wildlife, and just these issues in general. It's sometimes, like you said, there's moments of getting discouraged, but then I meet so many other people in this state that care. And the more and more we talk about this and educate our communities, the more people that are going to care and be a part of the change that needs to happen in this state. So I'm looking forward to the conference. Is there anything on the agenda that's
actually, I was going to pull that up, Stell, because I do have the agenda. Let me just get it. It's on it's actually on Volusia.org.
Okay, let me see if I can pull that up.
It's on the page, but hang on. You got to scroll all the way down. Volusia County.
I could probably find it. Let me take this off, Volusia.org, and then I will bring up the page. All I have to do is share my screen.
Okay, so I got it. So I'll just start reading it. So
Yeah,
again, the check-in and with breakfast and coffee will be provided is at 8:30. At 9 o'clock, we'll watch a video, which will be a little longer than yours. It's their newest video. Then there will be a welcome and opening remarks from our Volusia County Chair, Jeff Brower, who actually has been the forefront leader in this. Without him, this would not be happening. I can tell you that for certain. It almost did, and it almost got canceled.
what is he? Is he a commissioner?
He is our Volusia County Chair. He was elected in 2020, and his term will not be up until 24.
I'd love to see more like him in these positions.
I would love that too. We have an opportunity that I get goosebumps when I talk about it that we've never had before. It was every one of our last breaths to get him elected because, as you can imagine, there was a lot of developer money against us. Over 100,000. I don't really know because we lost track of all the private donors and dinners. But he did the grassroots movement and it won. And I think that actually speaks to us more than him. I mean, without him, we couldn't have gotten there for sure. But we were ready. It all kind of, just like our environment, it's all connected. Anyway, Jeff Brower, Jason Lauritson, he is the Chief Executive Officer of the Florida Wildlife Corridor Foundation. He's amazing. He actually did a presentation at Tiger Bay, which is in Volusia County. And I know it was amazing. Our chair and many others attended that. And they had nothing but great things to say. I didn't get to see that, but he'll be here. So that'll be great. There will be a panel discussion at 9:45 exploring the complexities of protection called Economy and Ecology. The moderator there is Jeff Lauritson, but some developer attorneys, and then Dwayne DeFries. So Jessica Gow is with Cobb Cole. Keith Fountain is with Conservation Advisors, LLC. Dr. DeFries, you know who he is, Dwayne DeFries. He is the king of the environment. He's our trustee leader at the Indian River Lagoon National Estuary Project. He will be there speaking, and I know a lot of people want to get his ear, so stand in line. Yeah, especially on the lagoon, right?
Right.
There will be a panel discussion at 11 on the role of government and other stakeholders, and that's really kind of where the rubber hits the road. That's where the money is. You're going to love that part. Tracy Dean, President and CEO of Conservation Florida. Sheena Murray. Oh, God, when we found her, we did a conference call with Volusia County staff and our chair, and she agreed straight away to come. She was the first one we locked in. She's going to be here she's the program manager for Florida Forever. As you may know, there was $400 million in the pot this year. We want some of that. And there will be $300 million every year hereafter for quite some time. Ginger Adair, the Volusia County Environmental Management Director. Lindsay Stephen, Director of Land Protection, Sustainable Community Strategy Lead, and the Nature Conservancy. The Nature Conservancy worked hand in hand with the Florida Wildlife Corridor Foundation, Archibald Laboratories, University of Florida. So these are all people that have been doing this for quite some time. They're experts in their field. And last but not least, the wildlife godfather is what I'm going to call him, although I don't think that's fair because he's probably the most honest businessman I've ever talked to, and his heart is on his sleeve. Arnie Bellini Better Worlds. He is a I don't think he's millionaire. It might be billionaire. I don't know if he knows how much money he has, but he had a wonderful tech company that made millions of dollars. He sold it for millions of dollars, and he came back with the ambition after he met Carlton Ward, who could deny that passion, and he signed in. He signed up. He put his money where his mouth is. He's coming with this new foundation, the Live Wildly Foundation, and you will see their branding everywhere. So now we've got a marketing company that can help us too. So it's like all of the pieces are in place, and that just is unusual for me. I've never experienced that, Stella. I don't know about you, but I mean, I just kind of tear up when I look at this and think, I can't believe we got here.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, you guys did this in a short amount of time.
Well, I think I know I found this in September, even though it was signed into law in July. And I immediately started hammering it at council meetings, on the internet, and then everybody was there, and there were people working on it that I was linking up to, and it just snowballed. Like I said, they had 250 seats, and now they got 250 more.
Wow. I mean, the fact that you have to do overflow is pretty good, that you've got that type of attendance, that people are that interested in. And I'm glad that they're all coming to learn. And, you know, these conferences are great for that. You know, I've been to numerous this year so far. I'm freaking exhausted, but I'm ready to keep learning. I mean, how can we grow as advocates if we're not attending these and listening and, you know, learning about the different options we have to do our work that we do? I mean, we're always looking for solutions on top of telling the public the problems. We can't just keep screaming, this is an issue, manatees are dying, this is happening, and then not have, you know, an idea of how we get out of that hole, you know? So I'm very excited to meet everyone, to learn, to go to the conference. The agenda looks so great. You guys have done a wonderful job. Now,
I had nothing to do with it. Volusia County staff, Live Wildly Foundation, they've been working very close together to pull this off. I really had nothing to do with it other than maybe making a few phone calls. So, I mean, I applaud Volusia County and Volusia County staff for getting this done so quickly. There are speakers who literally canceled their plans around the world to be here. So, yeah, that speaks to the importance of it.
And you know what? I do have to, you know, shout out the Volusia, because I love seeing that collaboration, that, you know, the ability to come together for one common cause, to learn, to listen, whether it's bringing people from all sides of the table, you know, to this one meeting. That's what we need to see more of in Florida. You know, I know that we deal with certain cities here in Brevard County who aren't using our group as a resource, right? They're not, I mean, they're not, we're a tool in the toolbox, and they're just totally not embracing that side of it. Instead, they'd rather make enemies out of us and try to cause discord, when we are a resource for these communities. We are the people that communicate and do community engagement. And so you would think they'd want to embrace that. And it's nice to see Volusia stepping up to do this conference and inviting people in to learn more and to engage in this subject. Yeah, I love seeing that.
I do too. And it's to speak to your situation. It's very disheartening, right? I mean, we're not doing this to be famous. We actually care about people's health. Even those representatives that would choose to isolate us and not let us be a part of the process. And honestly, it's not about us. It's not about us. It's about clean water. It's about a clean and healthy environment, which helps us all, including that representative. Again, these are bipartisan issues. So I don't understand why it's so hard for everyone to come to the table in a common interest. It's frustrating. I don't want this to be a political thing, but you know, there's the election, and I just implore everyone to do their research and to find out how they can remedy this problem where they live, right?
Right. You know, my friend Cheryl, she's our director on the West Coast. She always puts it so beautifully. She's like, you know, toxins don't care if you're red, blue, green. Toxins don't care. They don't care. They don't care if you're rich. They don't care if you're poor. You know, these harmful things that we're being exposed to on a daily basis. Well, in our case, you know, with our cancer-causing chemicals and the contamination we're dealing with, that's what she says. She says it so beautifully because it's true. And we've always made it a not partisan issue. And, you know, it's difficult for some people to look past that. But it's really, like you said, clean water is for everyone, period.
Right.
You know?
Well, so I want to touch on that just for a minute, because that is actually what happened in Volusia County this past week at the county council meeting. A couple of council members wanted to cancel it, and they said it had been hijacked for political purposes. Well, that's exactly what I believe they were doing, because this is not a political agenda. And if you want to say it is, then you're making it one. And that's not what we're about. We're not about anybody winning a campaign on this issue. But if this is an issue you support and it's part of your campaign, we're definitely going to take notice of that. And by we, I'm speaking about those of us that are fighting to protect our natural resources and wildlife. So I get very frustrated for those individuals that would exploit this movement and this project for their political purposes without any real true commitment to it, just to get votes. And that's already happening. And that really frustrates me because it makes it really hard to get the work done, which I think is the goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's sad.
Yeah, it is. But I'm glad that, we can talk about that on our channel and recognize that. And hopefully our communities that follow us and work with us and support the work that we're doing, they also see that effort being made and that we're just hyper focused on clean water, clean environment, protecting our resources, protecting our wildlife, and protecting our health. It's really that simple. And, oftentimes there are people that try to veer you off that path. And it's not happening for advocates like us, because we're just so determined to have a better life for our children and to help our communities. And so I'm so glad that we have that, and that advocates, and you've got politicians, you've got all these people coming in one space. So
scientists, money, marketing.
Yep. Yeah.
It's gonna be a beautiful day.
Alex wrote a comment, and he said the application page has the more interactive map. So he's talking about the website. So I guess I didn't click on the right area. There's an interactive map.
There is another one, but I can't share it. But can I send you the link to it?
Yeah. I would love to share that.
Hey, Alex, how are you?
What's the site? Is it
It's the Volusia Wildlife Corridor, but Alex created a map, and that's the one I was telling you about that's specific to the parcels. Mm-hmm. And you can find out where you lie within the corridor. So I'm just going to pull that up and text you the link.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's a few different maps on there. So, all right, well, there we go. Properties within the corridor on the right column at the last one.
He said application. Where's that? Okay, let me click on your link.
I don't know. But I know I'm on here, though. I can tell you that. All right, let me just send you the link.
I'm intrigued because you commented about it. And I'm a big nerd for interactive maps.
Me too. And he did exactly what we'd hoped he would do and then some. I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time here. I'm struggling.
More interactive maps. So the application page.
Why can't I find that? Oh, because I put county. It's pulling up the Volusia County page.
Is it called the Map Applications Hub?
Yes.
Okay,
and it's on the right column, the last one. I know where it is. I know how to get to it.
I can put it in my head. I love it.
It's right here. Yeah. So if you're on the maps and data page, you click properties within the corridor. It's on the right, last one. Yep, the last one on the right. Yep.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh.
So now it's going to load. It's a GIS map, much like ArcGIS.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Like all the government agencies use this type of mapping system. But Alex put in some extra layers, so if you blow it up, you can actually see the parcels. Is that the right one, Alex? Yeah, there it is. It takes some of the layers to come up. So you could, if you push it over, you can click to the left of 95 and click on any parcel, and you'll see there's more than one panel. If you click the right, not on that one, but you'll have to scroll over to the left. Yeah. So look over there where you see past 95, all those red little dots. You see that? Yeah, just pick any place over there and click it. There you go. So at the top, you see there's one of 9 panels. So that the first panel is just the geographical information and the data that you would find on the property appraiser's website. Mm-hmm. And then the arrow that's up there next to the full screen and the X to exit out. that arrow changes from panel to panel. And then you can actually see if it's designated within the wildlife corridor.
Oh, wow. This is very
Yeah.
detailed. Good job.
I can tell you, Alex. All right, Alex, don't let your head blow up. Alex is a genius. I found him, or he found me. I don't know. I found him several years ago, and he helped us a lot with all of our projects in Edgewater. And then we started getting out of Edgewater, and he just was so helpful. And just his office did an amazing job building these maps, because that was the one thing we didn't have. We didn't have the tool to go out and say, oh, right here is the wildlife corridor from a map that just shows shading like that. That's what it would look like. But now when you blow it up, you can get very detailed information on every single parcel within Volusia County. So it's our goal to have this type of interactive map layers. Alex can explain it a lot better. You might have to do a Zoom with him.
Yeah.
But it's our goal to have this be a template for the rest of the state. So ultimately, we would get this county by county or something of this fashion, and then we would have it throughout the state. So anybody from anywhere can click anywhere in the state and see, is this property within the corridor? Is it available for sale? Do the landowners know that it's within the corridor and what its ranking is? And as advocates, that's what we have to do. We can then get that property applied for Florida Forever. In Volusia County, we have Volusia Forever. We just reenacted it by vote for another 20 years, and it's a land acquisition program. And the voters voted for it. 72% of the voters voted for it. That's how important they feel about protecting the land and not doing this crazy development. I think it would be great. I know it would be great if every county had such a mechanism. So save Brevard Forever. One can hope. But Florida Forever has $300 million every year, and we had $100 million to start. So $400 million this year going in land acquisitions, and there have already been several, and the list is growing. Just because you may end up signing on at, say, the 100th person on the list, your property may be a high priority, and you could actually move up that list and get a faster approval, or at least process it more quickly. So don't get discouraged if you go, oh, there's 100 on there. By the time they get to us, the money will be gone. No, get on that list, because even if you don't make it this year, every year that money's going to renew. And there are things they will work with you on to tweak your application, or that you may need to do to get approved, and they'll work with you.
Wow. Very cool. I think you guys have a really good resource, Alex. Good job on the interactive map. I think I'm big on visuals and maps, and just being able to show people that way. Sometimes it's so hard when you're talking about it to really put an image to that. And so that's a really great resource for people to go to and see. So I love that website, by the way. So
Alex built that too, him and his team at Clearview Geographics. I'm telling you, these guys and gals are just, they're amazing. I get goosebumps whenever I hear them talk. It's like, you guys are like so amazing. Where did you come from? I prayed for you.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think, I'm looking forward to August 13th. And we have I'm looking at my calendar right now.
Yeah, it's not so far away.
It's really not. We have this coming week. Let's see here. Yeah, 2 weeks about.
Yeah.
So get on that list.
There's a lot of hotels in the area. If you are coming from out of town, it's on A1A on the beach side. Afterwards, go and get wild in the corridor, whether you want to get in the river, whether you want to get in the ocean. We've got rivers on both sides of the county, the St. John's and the Indian River, just like you guys. So yeah, it's going to be fun. We're staying at one of the hotels right across the street. So yeah, stay nearby or get out in the corridor, stay a couple of days. I think it's going to be great too, because we've got the Live Wildly crew there, and they're all about fun.
Are they? Oh man. Well, I was thinking, man, when we do our advocate retreat at the end of this year, maybe we should start looking in the corridor and really highlight the corridor area. You know, we had a great time last year, and I was just looking at that map, and I kept kind of eyeing sort of where we were at with Astor and Lake George, or was it Lake George?
Yeah.
And where we took the boat out. It was such a great time, and I really, really enjoyed where we stayed.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that again, and maybe
it's great to be in nature when we're not trying to fix it and we can just enjoy it, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, there was, you know, I started doing a different tradition with the kids, and I took them out to the woods for Christmas this past year, and we got a cabin, and it was so magical because we had deer just hanging with us and so much wildlife. I mean, I would venture to say there's more during the winter time near the springs because it's so quiet and there's not as many people. So I enjoy going there during the winter because of that. You know, there's when we went one time, and I think it was about winter because the fog was coming off the water. You remember?
The Oklawaha.
Yes, the fog. Yeah. It was so gorgeous though, but it was freezing. I will never forget how cold that was. We were sitting in that tent.
That was January 31st. It was my birthday.
Oh gosh, it was so cold, but it was so worth it. And I'd love to see more people kind of join us in these adventures because I feel like the more that people that live here connect with these spaces, the more they're going to want to protect it. And that's why we do a lot of these, like, well, the retreats are for advocates, but we also do other camping trips outside of that for families. And I think it's really important that we include, especially our youth, our kids.
It's extremely important.
Yep.
One of the doctors, I'm sorry, her name escapes me. She mentioned the No Child Left Behind campaign. And she said she wanted to tweak it a little bit and make it the No Child Left Dry campaign because we have to encourage our children to get out into the environment. And I like that, you know, especially if we have clean water. But yeah, I like that. And you do find some of the cleanest water within the wildlife corridor, which is another blessing.
Oh, so we just got to keep pushing that. And, you know, when I hear clean water, I'm like, oh, okay.
I know.
Because our resources are just getting smaller and smaller, you know? So I'm just hoping.
Well, that's the goal, is that we can somehow reverse that and maybe expand it instead.
I'm very excited about it. I think this is a really good thing. So you guys, again, on the bottom here, it says VolusiaWildlifeCorridor.com. You can go there. You can see the agenda on that website. You can go and sign up on the Eventbrite to attend this conference that's happening on August 13th. So just go to that website, and I think that's about it. We're going to sign off.
One note, I'm working on the website right now. So when you get on the VolusiaWildlifeCorridor.com website, the only way to view that event right now is to scroll all the way down to the, scroll all the way down. That was my dryer. I should have turned that off. Scroll all the way down to the bottom and click events. Sorry.
Yeah, that's so fine. You know what's so funny about that? I knew there was a noise, but I guess I'm so used to noise. Being a mom, you're so used to all the chaos, right? So like your alarm's going off, your laundry's going, and I'm sitting here cracking up inside because I'm like, that's usually my chaos. I'm sitting here working 10 different noises.
Now that it's quiet, we're gonna sign off.
Yeah, we're gonna sign off now that it's quiet. You didn't hear any laundry going. We're good.
I tuned it out just like you, apparently.
Did too. And I'm telling you, it's a mom thing, man. Yeah. All right. Well, we will talk to you guys later. Stay on 1 second, and I'm going to end this broadcast.